Welcome to Bizart, the podcast of the odd, the art and the rest. I'm Madeleine Swan. I write weird and strange stories. This is Stephen Waring.
Hello.
You can find his weird arty brain at lofiguy.com. If you have any questions or queries, or you just want to say hello, email bizartcast@gmail.com.
Good evening.
Hello. You can tell that Steve and I don't get out very often because we went for a Mexican today. It was the most exciting thing that we've done for ages, and it was like a really big event.
Yeah, it was so nice as well. God, I'm probably going to dream about it tonight. Are you?
Yeah, I'm going to think about it, definitely. I do like Mexican food.
Yeah, love it. I think you introduced me to a Mexican.
Yeah, I remember you weren't too into spicy stuff before we knew each other, and I got you to eat loads of spicy food.
And ever since then...
I did that with Bill as well. Bill, my boyfriend. He was, I think, probably take it or leave it, but now both of you just put spice on everything.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's got to have a bit of zing about it, otherwise it's just not quite cricket.
Transformed your tastes.
Yes, you have, for better or what? No, for much
Definitely,
better.
Yeah,
Definitely
you can't really
for the better.
beat a good Mexican dinner or heavily spiced. Just spice on everything, really. Anything.
Yes. So today I was going to start by talking about here's where I am sort of creatively at the moment. We've done this exhibition which we discussed last week, but I'm kind of wanting to push forward in a direction where my work isn't really kind of representational. I kind of want it to create a vibe, a feeling, an emotion within the viewer, but without it being spelled out.
So it's kind of something, but it doesn't really represent or look like the thing, like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like a kind of a subconscious reaction, emotion, or dream. That's kind of what I want to create, and I keep doing things too representational, and I've been trying to get away from that. So I've been kind of studying a lot of artists without wanting to kind of copy anyone at all or anyone outright, but the last great artist that I kind of studied is Turner, and I've been looking at his later work especially, which was still representational. You would have a kind of, you would be able to tell that there's a train, or there was some industrial environment, but it was getting so almost impressionist in its style, or even further than that. It was kind of impressionist. I don't know. In a way,
expressionism is probably one of my favourite isms, I guess. Apart from Dada and surrealism, I think expressionism is.
Yes,
I love it.
Yeah, I definitely. And that's kind of the way he was heading. I really like his watercolors too, because they're like quick, kind of. Well, not all of them, but many of them are kind of quick kind of studies, which are kind of more expressive and less constrained. So I was looking at that for kind of inspiration, really, and I think I kind of know where I'm going, but it's just a case of nailing it so that I'm happy with the work. I keep working, and I didn't hit Maddie then.
No, sorry, I've got a hot cup of tea and I stupidly put it on my leg.
It sounded like I'd slapped you around the chops.
Yeah, you got so into it that you just punched me.
Yeah, that's it
makes me violent.
Yeah, I have to express myself in the only way I know how.
Oh God, Steve's talking about
anger.
art again. Move away, he's going to lay someone out.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm kind of wanting to create that kind of feel. The way that kind of a Rothko painting does, but not necessarily the same kind of execution.
Like, I remember when we were in the Tate Modern and there was that floor with all the Rothkos, and it was very mood inducing.
Exactly.
That makes any
sense.
Sense.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That's one of my favourite things ever, I think.
Yeah.
You can transcend in there, you know. It's like, it'd be nice to have it to yourself and just sit in there and meditate or something, you know.
It's just unfortunate that I had a urine infection at the time, and I kept looking at the paintings and going, I've just got to go to the toilet, I won't be a minute.
Yeah.
And then we had to walk all the way back and go back on the tube, and I had that terrible urine infection. Oh my God. Yeah, that was a day. I had a nice time though.
Yeah.
What we saw of it.
You were meditating in the toilet, that's what you were doing.
Yeah, well, I was trying to do a wee with knives coming out my bladder, to be honest. I don't think there was much meditation about that.
But moving on, yeah, so the kind of human condition and the kind of way that we interact with the world, kind of like a primitive kind of perspective, say like the Aboriginal kind of outlook on life, that kind of vibe. I'm trying to encapsulate all of that. It's sounding bloody pretentious.
No, I know what you mean. You know, there's nothing wrong with going towards pretension. We said that today, didn't we? What were we talking? Oh, we were talking about My Dinner with Andre, and we were saying how, obviously, with art and films and that, I don't mind a bit of pretension. Other people can sort of see it as a bit pretentious and that, but there's a line, and I feel like My Dinner with Andre is just past that line.
That definitely crosses the line.
I can't cope with it. Bill really likes it, and it's very sweet that he's just very honest about liking it. He knows what I think, but he doesn't really care.
He's not as no, critical is the wrong word, but you know,
no, he is critical, but you just think if he likes something, he likes it, and nothing's gonna dissuade him from that, really. Like, I showed him boxing Helena for a laugh because, you know, it's got something different about it, and I kind of weirdly like boxing Helena, even though it is really terrible. But he just really unironically likes that film.
That's directed by David Lynch's daughter,
Jennifer Lynch. It's really bad, and it's got the worst ending ever, but I don't know, like, there's kind of something about it. There's like a weird appeal. She says it's supposed to be like a dark fairy tale, and I can kind of see where she's coming from, even though it's very silly.
Yeah, I'm pretending that I've actually seen the film here, you know, but I haven't.
Well, I think you should watch it. I mean, like, I'm not going to lie, it's pretty bad, but I think it's entertaining. Yeah. And at least it's...
I should check it out sometime. I've seen some terrible bloody films lately, so I should really watch something at least that's going to... even if it's not very well executed, but it's kind of got something about it that's... You know.
I think it does. It's got Audrey in it from Twin Peaks, so you can't really ask for more.
No, she was lovely.
I think she wears very little at one point, or she's naked at one point, so obviously it's worth watching for that. Yeah, Audrey. I love Audrey. But the ending, oh my God, when the ending happens, you'll just go, oh my God, I can't believe I wasted an hour and a half for that.
Oh dear. That does happen with certain films, doesn't it? You kind of like, at the end, you're kind of wishing your time back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where I am creatively at the moment. It's been a bit of a... I've had to go back on my happy pills too recently because...
we were supposed to go to a festival called Field Day where Aphex Twin and Flying Lotus and various other electronic music types were playing, but I've got endometriosis and Weaven's having
just a weird
nervous breakdown.
Yeah, well, I was prescribed not to want to go into details, but I was prescribed a kind of a mild antidepressant after my father died, and then I completely cut them off. That was a few months ago, when you're not supposed to do that at all.
I told you, I don't know how many times that was a stupid thing to do.
And I was like, I'm all right, everything's great, and I was a bit hyper. But then it all came sort of crashing down, And really, you're supposed to sort of have one night on, one night off, kind of like have one day, and then leave it the next, and another one day. So
you have to wean yourself off it. I mean, people have suicidal thoughts from doing that.
Yeah. Mine was kind of more just anxiety. Even like trifle things like driving a few miles down the road would seem like the end of the world. You know, you lose perspective. So
I mean, you and I both have anxiety problems. I've had terrible panic attacks since I was 9, really. Just stopping taking them, even though it's anxiety really that's our problem rather than depression, just stopping them can cause depression.
Yeah.
So, you got to be careful.
Yeah, definitely. So I've learnt my lesson there.
Yes, good.
I was going to talk about something else. What was it that I was going to discuss next? Well,
I think you were going to talk about that Philip K. Dick book.
Oh yeah, I've started reading while I was kind of, because I'm a very fidgety kind of guy.
He's not a reader.
Well, I am slightly dyslexic, so reading takes a lot of concentration for me, more than the average person.
As I've learnt when I send you text messages and you completely make up something else.
And I've got myself an e-reader and your bloody phone is so rude.
It.
I got myself an e-reader with what you would call what's it called? Open Dyslexic. It's a font you can install, and it's a lot easier to read. And I've basically got that on kind of granny text on this e-reader, so it's nice and big, and I can read that quite fluently. It's really, really good. It's really helped me. Yeah. So I've started reading because I used to read a bit of Philip K. Dick a few years ago, and I've gone back to that. I've gone back to read a book that I hadn't. Oh God, what's the title? I'll insert that afterwards. I keep forgetting the title because it's quite an
It's going to sound weird if you do that.
Oh, well, it's going to
sound...
It'll
be like that episode of The Simpsons where they go to Camp Krusty and he's not there, and they bring out Barney dressed as Krusty and they say, "Hi, I'm Mr. Black."
Well, I'll insert that here. Title?
Radio Free Albemarle.
Okay, so... yeah, so I've been reading... This is also ridiculously vague, but anyway, it's kind of... It reflects a lot on modern times, and the president in the story, he's so much like... Well, at the moment, he sounds a lot like Trump. And, like, Philip K. Dick has perfectly described hipsters in this story. It's so unreal. Like, someone was quoting... The main character was quoting their favourite authors, and it was kind of like Kafka... Joyce, somebody else, and but he was saying he didn't like sci-fi, and it was kind of like the way that he was saying it was so kind of hipster,
like, oh, I don't read that sort of thing.
And other traits about his personality, the way he was dressed and described by Philip K. Dick, it was just like, oh my God, this is now like I guess human behaviour never really changes. It goes in cycles. Every 30 or 40 years it repeats itself. This was written just around the time of Watergate or around the Nixon presidency, so I guess that was
the right-wing president. Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this when we were eating our mushroom fajitas, weren't we? About how people say, oh my God, 1984 predicted how things will be, how did he do it, and that. Well, he kind of drew on a lot of what happened during the Second World War, didn't he? And it was inspired by things that had already happened.
Yeah, and what he'd witnessed in the Soviet Union, as well.
People don't really change as much as we are kind of improving on a lot of things, and we're sort of getting there on certain matters. We are, much as it doesn't feel like we are sometimes. I think we are. We do repeat a lot of things. It's just in our nature because we're animals, that's just kind of what we're destined to do. There'll always be one complete bastard in a bunch, and they'll always cause a certain things to happen.
Yeah, it's just, I think maybe the character in this novel was he was kind of like an exaggerated version of Nixon. But now it's
but
kind of
Trump
like
is an exaggeration.
he is. Well, Nixon, you'd have Nixon over Trump any day now. You really would, because I'm sorry, Trump supporters, but we're coming from an arty-farty,
but you have to
lefty.
You have to admit, even if you're a Republican, the guy is crazy.
Yeah, there are a lot of Republicans who.
Yeah, a lot.
Your old school Republicans who.
Yeah.
Who were, they were more like your right wing Democrat, the right of the Democratic Party. It seems to be like the old fashioned Democratic Party seems to move over to the middle so far, and the Republican Party seems to be over so far to the right.
There's a lot on kind of on both sides. We've got like the alt right or whatever they're called, and then you've got certain people like really on the far left and that, and they kind of talk about different things, but they sound like each other. But there's still like they're like both totally intolerant. I mean, there's like I see myself as left, and I believe in left things and stuff like that. But I also think that we should be able to discuss things, and I do think that there are perhaps a certain amount of people on the left who are not willing to listen to things.
Well, in this book, the Russians who were still communist at that time, the kind of hardline communists were kind of backing this US president, and the right wing American politicians were backing. So it's kind of like a mirror of today, although obviously Russia isn't a communist country anymore. It's obviously a kind of a very strange kind of capitalist nightmare where the country was sort of carved up by people who had an element of control around the time that communism fell, kind of just sucked up all of the control, all of the money, and that's how you ended up with these oligarchs who. When
we start getting into this, that's when I started getting panic attacks again.
Sorry,
so I'm just trying to think of like the Mexican that we had.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Mexican.
We had a really nice Mexican. No, because the thing is like, although I am optimistic, because here's what I think, and it's really simplistic. And it's probably, people will hear it and think, God, what an idiot. But I'm optimistic because we used to have an equilibrium of how the world was, and people in minorities were underneath, and people who were white and powerful were on top. That is kind of changing. And I remember what an old college professor of mine said. When you get any group, there's I think 4 different phases. You've got forming, storming, norming, and performing. And what that means is you come together as a group, and with storming you kind of fight with each other to find out where you all stand and what roles you'll play, and so on. And then you kind of get used to how things are, and then you perform, and that is your reality. Whereas now I think people are like, minorities and so on, they're like, well, I'm not happy with how things were, and now we're kind of storming again. And so I kind of feel like we'll get back on an even keel of an even more equal position than we were before.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're kind of going from one way, how things were before, to going through. And there are things that I don't necessarily agree with, and there's things that some people find annoying and so on. But I kind of feel like it's necessary to get to a new point.
Zizek was saying something like this.
Really?
He was saying...
Slavoj Zizek, he's a philosopher and film critic and Freudian. He's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, he was saying that, in a way, you need someone like Trump to come in to galvanise the left into kind of...
action?
Yeah, sorting themselves out. And it gives them more perspective and meaning, and...
Yeah.
In a way, and take things a little bit more seriously. I guess when you've got 2 moderate political parties, kind of changing position,
things get stale.
Nothing ever happens. So the only way that you get change is to have this reactionary kind of politics.
Yeah.
So yeah.
God, we got into an intellectual one, didn't we?
Blimey, we
Sort
did.
of, for us anyway. For us.
So,
I mean, you know, I don't know.
For us.
I don't know stuff. That's just what I think.
I don't know anything. I'm a funny little man, really. But
you know, that's kind of what I
we,
think.
We try.
Yeah.
I think it's
all
important.
in all, I think it's optimistic.
You know, a lot of YouTube channels that I subscribe to, I'm kind of addicted to that.
Oh yeah, me too. I've with that. Sorry, I totally cut you off there.
They don't. They're kind of not talking politics at the moment because everything is so crazy, and everyone's just shouting at each other.
I mean, I kind of feel like that's where we are right now. People are shouting and not listening, but I feel like we're going to move beyond that somehow.
Yeah, we've got to.
Well, yeah.
To survive, really. But but I think it's kind of important we've touched on this because with our tiny little minds, because it's life, isn't it? We've got to live in this world. We can't just put our fingers in areas and
no. See, that's the thing, but you do need to take a break from it all though, because the other day after first the Manchester thing and then what happened in London, I am having really bad panic attacks.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I went on Twitter, and I think all it was I think after the thing in London as well, or just Manchester, I'm not sure. I then found out about Evergreen College where everyone's like protesting and arguing, and I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep all night. I mean, I've obviously had pain and stuff as well, but I was like, oh my God, we're all going to kill each other. We're all going to die. But that's just not a very helpful way to be. And I think in order to sort of just go about things day to day and not be in a constant meltdown, you have to turn your phone off. You have to not look at stuff for a day or more.
Oh yeah.
You know, however long you need to do it.
Yeah.
Just, no one's going to think that you're not a good citizen for unplugging for a while, you know? It's necessary for mental health.
Oh, yeah, massively. I don't know how Noam Chomsky does it, to be honest. I think he's always plugged in. And his mate, how old is he? About 90 or something? It's I remember, how have he kept going this long?
I remember our college lecturer showing us Noam Chomsky stuff when I was probably about 16, 17.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. I did communication studies. That's where I got that forming, storming.
I bet there's a lot of colleges who wouldn't show Chomsky. They could probably consider him too...
don't know about that.
Incendiary or kind of too. Yeah,
but college is the place to explore these things, isn't it?
I suppose if you're gonna have that, then you'd have to have like a right alternative as well, and show and
I don't think we
cover that.
I don't think we had the right alternative. I think he showed us Noam Chomsky and that sort of thing, and Lahane and lots of films and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So there we have it. So we talked about that.
So all in all, stressful, but hopefully positive.
The thing is, with the gig that the festival we were supposed to go to.
Yeah.
I was having these anxiety issues. Maddie had her endometriosis.
We're terrible. Yeah, but I've got anxiety as well, so I know what you mean.
And she had anxiety issues. That night, because I was losing my mind a bit, I kept looking at my phone thinking, I'm sure there's going to be an attack at this festival. I'm sure there's going to be a bomb. I'm sure something's going to go wrong. And then it actually happened on London Bridge.
Yeah, and it did. That was the day that we were going into London.
We would have been coming out of the festival at about 10 o'clock when then the attacks on London Bridge happened. So it's kind of like I kind of felt that something was going to happen. Obviously, it wasn't. It was just coincidence.
Yeah, it wasn't like a sixth sense, but it was just very lucky.
Because there's a lot happening at the moment. I think something happened in Paris today. It's just,
I was disappointed because I've been an Aphex Twin and Flying Lotus fan since, for years. So I was disappointed, but at the same time, I kind of thought, I can just lie back and eat crisps in my pants now.
Yeah, I was thinking, I really need to sort out my record collection because it's all just chucked everywhere. And then
the important stuff.
But then I was thinking, there's like Aphex Twin in there, and I feel a bit fun. I feel a bit unusual if I start sorting out my record collection, so I just left it. I'll sort that out later when I've kind of recovered from the thought that I've never actually seen him live.
I started reading. I've just finished an amazing book called Ghostland, and I'm going to make a YouTube video about it. But it's really good, and it talks about parts of America and supposedly haunted houses and haunted places, but instead of coming at it from an approach that ghosts are real, it talks about what makes people tell certain ghost stories and what that says about culture. Like a lot of ghost stories come from like a way of obviously explaining events that can't readily be explained. Like, for example, this isn't in it, but for example, Elisa Lam, what happened to Elisa Lam, loads of weird stories have arisen out of that, from in the Cecil Hotel.
The girl in the water,
because there's
tank,
that bit of time that's unaccounted for. We don't quite know what happened, and it's very strange. Ghost stories have come about that, and there's often an element of wanting to explain something away easily, but also it talks about things in our culture where apparently in the South the KKK would pretend to be ghosts of Southern soldiers in order to go to a free black man's house late at night. This is after slavery was abolished, and pretend to be ghosts to frighten them not to leave and run off to the north, because even though they didn't like black people, they needed them because they're an integral part of like day-to-day life and culture. So in order for them not to just go, sod this for a lark, I'm going to the north where they didn't like lynch us and stuff, they would turn up at night and like dressed in sheets and that. But what's interesting is that it then also explores the fact that they probably didn't actually believe that they were ghosts. They acted more scared because they were more afraid of physical harm. So they just went along with it in order to not have anything more serious happen. And in the end probably just thought, oh God, sod it, I'll just stay here because this is life. So, but it's a really interesting book.
Oh, okay.
Very.
Well, I guess they had families there and they had roots there, and they it's not easy just to up and leave, is it?
No.
Especially if you think your family might be might suffer some kind of harm. They might not care about themselves individually. It's like you're like a relative to me now. We've known each other a long time. We're very close. Like the thought of something happening to you would be much worse than something happening to me. That's just the way that
it is like brother and sister, isn't it? The way that we've known each other for 11 or 12 years now. Yeah,
it's amazing. And it's flown as well. It's flown by.
Yes, it certainly has.
Oh yeah, we always have a lot of fun whenever we get together. It's kind of like the day goes so fast. If you're actually doing a shift of work,
if you do a working day of 8 hours, it just drags. But a day with chums,
or even 12 hours, like we'd spend 12 hours in each other's company, and it just flies, doesn't it? I don't think you and I have had any sort of argument for a very long time.
No, we haven't. We bicker like old people, but not arguing. No, like obviously with pain and that, I do get grumpy. Like I get grumpy with everyone. Yeah,
and I'm always grumpy.
Yeah,
so.
You can be quite grumpy.
Probably like 8 years ago was the last time we had like a.
Yeah, it's been a while.
A mini falling out, because obviously friends, really close friends, you do, because you know each other so well.
I think the main the main thing of why we don't argue is because we say anything to each other. Like most people, there's always an element of, I don't want to say that because it's going to offend them, or I don't want to say that because I'll look stupid or whatever. But we don't really have that.
There's no sort of secrets or anything like that. Like I've got friends whose girlfriends and wives just know only one kind of side of their personality, and yet we're kind of best friends, and we don't hide anything.
Yeah.
They know everything about each other, which is crazy. You know, it's it's lovely. It's a lovely thing.
I remember at Mum's, we were upstairs in my room, and they had to shut the door because we were singing a song about being best friends so loudly that they couldn't hear the TV.
Yeah, very funny.
It was like SpongeBob and Patrick or something, wasn't
it? I think you must be SpongeBob.
I don't know. Yeah, I think you're probably Patrick. I can see that.
Definitely Patrick.
Do you remember when you thought One Trick Pony was One Trip Pony?
Yeah.
You are like an alien.
I am like an alien, it's true.
You haven't quite absorbed the culture. Well, I'll find out actually that you've got a really advanced linguistic skill, like in Arrival one day, when it seems like you're backwards, but actually you're actually really advanced.
I saw the movie Arrival
That's what I was just
the other
talking
day.
about.
Yeah, and that's very good actually.
Yeah.
Because I looked at what the plot was. And
it's same as the Arrival of Wang, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a less comic book kind of.
Yeah. It's a bit more serious than the Arrival of Wang. I think that's got a slightly silly side. It's good, but
that kind of touches on terrorism and all that. It's kind of where a lot of good science fiction does that. They touch on today's kind of subjects in a metaphorical way.
Hot topics.
Exactly, hot topics.
I'm wearing hot topics.
We're both wearing hot topics.
With my terrorist boots on from Hot Topics.
It's such a good thing that this isn't recorded on a video camera. So, and of course, I guess the Arrival, you can draw parallels with race issues, immigration, which is obviously a massive thing at the moment. So the whole communication thing was obviously inspired by that in part. But yeah, it's a good little film.
Ending was good. Well, we won't say any more in case you haven't seen it.
No. But there we are. Yeah, I've seen some terrible films lately though.
Oh, God,
the latest Alien film.
I didn't even bother watching the last one. It just didn't seem worth bothering with. I didn't really like the third one anyway. I'm not that keen on the second one.
Yeah, well, it was the right thing to do, the second one, because
it was very of its time. I feel really
macho,
quite 80s. Like you can't get more sort of macho and actiony than the 80s, really, can you? I mean, the whole decade was.
Call it Hudson. Yeah. But James Cameron obviously made the right choice there, because what more can you do with Alien, the kind of haunted house, something's going to get you kind of idea. You can't really.
They did that already.
Done that already, so he needed to do something else. More aliens, you know.
Yeah, bigger ones.
And then when they went back to the haunted house on Alien 3, pretty much, it wasn't going to work. And then Alien 4, I don't know what was going on there.
I don't know if I saw that. Is that the one with Michael Fassbender?
That's the one with Winona Ryder and
God,
Sigourney
that
Weaver
was
is
terrible.
Like half alien.
Oh my God, that was a really bad one.
Yeah, I think that was a good. Was that the same director as?
That was Jean-Pierre Jeunet, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think the studios, the accountants, kind of take control of these alien films. And the last two have been directed by Ridley Scott, and they're just.
Yeah, because Delicatessen and Alien 4 not really not really anything related, are they?
No, they may as well just got Terry Gilliam to make it or something. It'd been similar, you know. It's kind of
I
like
don't think he would have done it.
No, but it's a similar sort of parallel, isn't it?
It's weird.
So
I don't know why they get people that are known for weird stuff and that, and then don't let them make it how they want to make it. Like David Lynch with what was the one?
No, Dune.
Dune, yeah. And then they don't let them make it how they want to make it.
Such a shame. They're someone's making a new Dune now.
Apparently. Think I heard that. And if you haven't seen a documentary called Jodorowsky's Dune,
oh my god,
watch that. It is really good.
Why isn't he making it?
Yeah, Alejandro Jodorowsky was going to make Dune before David Lynch did, and it would have been insane. That film would have been insane, wouldn't it?
Well, he wanted to make it like a cinematic acid trip.
Yeah, he wanted to make it transformative, as he said, you know.
Transform a generation of young cinema goers, it's kind of expand their minds.
And it's so funny that there's one bit in it where you find out that Orson Welles was convinced to be in it because he would have been given loads of food that he really wanted or something. They was like, well, we'll you know, you'll get an unlimited supply of whatever it was the food that it was that he liked, and he said
Italian chef. He was going to employ the same Italian chef from his favourite restaurant throughout the whole making of the film.
And that was what convinced him.
God, that would have been so good. I don't know why the studio didn't go with it, really, because all those big names that were going to be in that, they would have pulled in the audiences alone, surely. Because people just go to see certain names, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe the studio just got cold
Maybe
feet,
they would let him do it if he said it now. I don't know. You never know. Things have their time, don't they? And if they don't think it's the right time, then they don't allow it.
It's a strange one, Dune, because I started to read that a few years ago and just couldn't get into it at all. I know people absolutely love it, but it seemed actually like it was written like a children's book in a way. It was very simplistic.
Frank Herbert, isn't it? Is that who wrote it?
Yeah. I guess because it was serialised. If I'm right, I think it might have been serialised in the magazine to begin with, and then he obviously expanded it into a series of books. But it does seem kind of simplistic. Well, I guess it's about ideas, isn't it? There's a lot of writers who like that, but
the ideas are good, but the execution maybe not so much. Like the actual writing itself, maybe not so much. I mean, people seem to be connected to the idea in it. I mean, it's not really my thing. I'm not a space opera fan, really, but I think that people, rather than seeing it as a space opera, they see it as a philosophy or something almost, don't they?
That's what Jodorowsky did, because he kind of rewrote the story in a way, didn't he? And then got Mebius to do all the illustrations, and and that was kind of ripped off in loads of people got to see the Book of Dune, which was the book that Jodorowsky and Mebius did together, which was basically it was the plan of the film, and there was elements of that in other films, like the bit in Raiders of the Lost Ark where the Nazis are all...
I don't think I've ever actually seen it, shockingly enough.
Wow, you never seen Raiders of the Lost Ark?
No, I know people I know, but I haven't.
That's probably the only... Yeah, I mean, that's the one to see, really. That's the good one, really good one.
Because I've seen the Temple of Doom, but...
I loved that when I was a kid.
Yeah, I've seen that one. I liked it at the time, but to be honest, I don't remember a lot. I remember... Isn't there like loads of bugs on the floor at one point?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've always had a terrible phobia of dead bugs. I don't mind live ones, but dead ones, and that really stuck in my memory because they were crunching on them all, aren't they?
That's right. I love that. Short Round was kind of like
the comedic relief.
Being a kid, he was the one that all the other kids
related
we related to. He's a bit like Wesley Crusher in Star Trek: The Next Generation, or
who's a Mary Sue, I believe.
Huh?
He's known as a Mary Sue.
Oh,
Wesley
that's
Crusher.
what you were saying.
where basically it's a self-insert by the writer where they want to be in this world, so they just write themselves into it and create this character that's like really good at everything.
Yes.
And that is...
Oh my god,
he is.
Yeah, he's like some superhuman intellect. Yeah.
Exactly, but that's
and Short Round in Temple of Doom was that he could drive. He was a little kid, but he could drive and he could like do karate.
Oh, he was really good at lots of things, wasn't he? I don't think he was a Mary Sue though. I can't see that the writer saw himself as a small boy. He probably just thought that kids are going to watch it and they want someone to relate to.
Yeah, they did that all throughout the 80s, really, in TV and film.
Well, give them a child sidekick who makes wisecracks and.
Oh, either that or it'd be a freaky little animal that does the same kind of thing. Yeah,
like that bloody thing on He-Man.
He-Man, yeah, and Thundercats. Yeah, the
I hate
that
them.
floaty chap.
Yeah, the floaty orc. Was it orc? No.
Orco? I don't know,
but he was so annoying.
Yeah.
And Snarf was really annoying as well. Oh God, I can't even hear it. Stop.
Yeah. So hey.
I remember in my irresponsible youth, we played a drinking game during He-Man, and one of the things was you had to drink whenever he said whenever Snarf said snarf, and I don't really remember the rest of the night because obviously he says it every 2 minutes.
Yeah, there's a character in Star Trek Voyager who's like him, Neelix. I always found him. Well, he obviously doesn't go around going snarf, snarf, but he's got kind of a bit like that sort of insert a bit of comic relief or insert a lighter kind of thing. But hey, I always end up bringing the conversation around to Star Trek in some way, don't I?
Always. You find a way every time. Okay, well, should we wrap it up because we've been going on for a while?
You were going to talk about something.
Well, I was going to talk about early cinema, but only if we didn't know what else to talk about. And to be honest, I've already blogged about it. If you go to madeleineswan.wordpress.com and look for disturbing and creepy early cinema vintage clips.
Oh yeah, the pig suit.
There's lots of things that I found that are strange because I always see clips of like people on YouTube going, oh look at this, it's so creepy, and it's not. I mean, the only thing that's creepy about it is the fact that it was made from 1890s to 1920. You know, it's not creepy, it's just old. There are actual genuine creepy things made during that era.
Yeah.
So I shared them, one of them being the acrobatic blue bottle. No, the balancing blue bottle or the acrobatic fly. Ooh.
That was a really good subject matter you chose there, actually. That was a really good idea.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I do try.
I don't know, sometimes like even the kind of craziest nut job will have a kind of a moment of clarity and produce something wondrous.
Thanks. Is that like the stopped clock giving the right time twice a day?
Yeah.
If I just come out with enough crap, eventually something will make sense.
I suppose, yeah, that's like a lot of artists or no, you're not that, by the way, in any shape or form, but that is how a lot of people operate. It's how a lot of YouTubers operate. Let's just make a video, another video, another
one. Actually, I kind of feel like that. I mean, the terrible allegations aside, that's how I kind of feel about Woody Allen. He is so prolific that it's his downfall, because he'll come out with a real gem, a film that I absolutely love, and then he'll make about 6 crap ones. And I think, Woody, what are you doing? Just relax. You don't need to churn it out.
Yeah.
Just make a good one every few years.
Neil Young is like that.
Right.
He's produced so many albums over the years that it's just you can't keep up with it, and he should maybe take 3 years out and then produce a right clanger. No, not a clanger. That would be
a bad one.
That would be a bad one.
Comes
you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So
like Woody Allen's Midnight in Paris, or
he can be.
Vicky Cristina Barcelona. They're good ones.
He can be really, really, really kind of. I don't know. I think we're running out of steam now, but
we're wrapping up. It's time for the end.
It's time for the end of the show.
End of the show. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much for coming. It's been very useful.
Yes, and the more of you come, the more we'll be able to get sponsors on the show. We'll be saying stuff like a lot of those YouTubers will be going like Crunchyroll, animations.
I think we're way off from that.
And then but if we say it, then they will come.
Yeah.
And then we'll be able to just do this full time. We'll just have a full time show. This will be running 24 hours a day, and we'll just have to sit in one place.
This
with
is going to be
pucker-wallers and bum wipers.
Okay, sure.
And people bringing us dinner and that kind of thing, and we'll just never leave.
Basically, our life will be lying in bed with the window open, and people will be passing takeaway Chinese and Mexican and that to us from the window
and wiping our bottoms.
Yeah,
it'll be. We have to get the bed converted in some kind of toilet bed thing.
Yeah, or just do it there.
They could just change the sheets.
Yeah.
As long as you've got like one of those under sheets.
They could just roll us off, pull the sheets out from under us.
Yeah.
So that we're just on the mattress, and then roll it back underneath us and put us back in position.
Yeah, and we're professional at that point. We'll definitely be professional, so we'll be able to just keep going, and it'll be like nothing's happening.
We'll be like that science fiction film that Bill's mum told me about. I don't know if you might know what this is actually. Apparently there's a small section of it where they're going through space and they arrive on this planet, and there's this really big fat seen as the lord of all, and like all the other people on the planet are normal, but they're all obsessed with him, and they do everything for him, feed him and that, but they eat his poo.
Wow, I've not seen that.
Yeah, it's a book.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know what it.
Who told you about that, Bill?
Bill's mum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, it's time to go now.
Eat shit, citizens.
Yes.